Hey, how's it going? So thanks everybody for joining DreamHost's Hangout today, our DreamUp. We're going to be talking about DreamSpeed CDN, which is a pretty cool content delivery network add-on for DreamObjects, which is our cloud storage service. I am joined here by Justin Lunn. Justin is intimately familiar with both DreamObjects and with DreamSpeed CDN. He spent a lot of time developing each of them, and he is here today to kind of walk us through it, who needs it, how they enable it, why they would use it, all that good stuff. So I will pass it over to you, Justin.
All right, thank you, Brett. Well, I'll introduce myself a little bit more. As Brett mentioned, I'm the Cloud Product Manager here at DreamHost. I started in April of 2012. Before that, I worked at a web-based business management startup for professional photographers. And before that, I was in electronic medical records software for hospitals. I do have some slides, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me do that now. Hopefully you can see that. That's coming through. I think we may need to select the slides from the moderator view there, just to make sure those are displaying.
You look good to me. They're displaying for me full screen.
Okay, great. I was just seeing your face, so it was not helping the slides.
What's wrong with that?
So as I mentioned, here's my contact information. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me or contact me on Twitter if you've got any more questions about DreamSpeed CDN, DreamObjects, or DreamCompute, all of our fun cloud products that we do here at DreamHost. So what is a CDN? Well, first, CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. It accelerates your site loading times, and that's really its main purpose. It's to accelerate the loading of your site by increasing performance and the availability of your site. And so you may be wondering, well, how does it do that? So the goal is to serve content to your users from as close to them as possible. That means it takes less time for content to travel from the server to the browser. And to do that effectively, you need a global network of servers to do that. And you need very fast servers. So we've done this by partnering with Fastly. They're a CDN provider that's used by Twitter, Etsy, GitHub, Pinterest, Yelp, Vimeo, and many others. They're kind of a pioneer in the CDN business because they started by using super fast hardware instead of having distributed points of presence and many locations with slower spinning disk hardware. They were the first to go all SSD, lots of RAM, and fast internet. And like DreamHost, they're built on open source technology. They use Varnish, and then they customize it to make it even faster. So I think they're a great partner to partner with DreamHost for a CDN. So let's talk about how a CDN works. An example would be that I'm here in Atlanta and DreamHost and our servers are in Los Angeles. So if I wanted to view a web page, I'm going to request a site and it's going to get sent to my browser. My browser is going to follow the directions within the HTML, so it's going to fetch additional resources like images either from the same server or from another server. With a CDN, some of that content can be fetched from one of their servers in Atlanta instead of going all the way back to LA. Now we talked about images as being one of the types of content that can be used to accelerate by grabbing that image from a CDN instead of going all the way back to LA in my example to get that image from the website, the web server. There are other types of content that is well suited for CDN, which are kind of the usual suspects here, and that's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, and video. Now traditionally, only static content could be cached, but Fastly is capable of storing additional content that typically isn't suitable for CDNs. Now normally static web content is content that rarely changes, and that's actually suitable for all types of CDNs, any sort of cache service. There's another type of content that's really not suitable for caching, and that's truly dynamic content. Now that's content that's going to be personalized content like user logins and credit card transactions. These things are unique every time, and so they're not cacheable. There's another kind of third quasi-dynamic type of content that's event-driven. So this is things like wiki articles, news articles, comments. This is content that has an unpredictable nature, and it changes, but it can still be cached if the out-of-date content is purged quickly. Now that's usually an API-driven kind of function, and so that you can purge something rather quickly, and we'll kind of save that for a later DreamUp. We're just going to talk about static content and how it's easy to store on an origin server like DreamObjects. And you might ask why that is. And it's kind of, again, it's how a CDN works. So the first time you request a piece of content, it's fetched from an origin server, in our case DreamObjects, and then it's stored on that cache server in that location. So in my example, that's here in Atlanta. And then it's served to me from that cache server in Atlanta. But the next time I request that image or that video, it's going to be requested and served to me from that server in Atlanta, so that it's much, much faster each time I do that. So let me talk a bit more about DreamObjects, and I'll pause for a second to see if there's any questions there. Are we good so far? So far, so good?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit anywhere in the Hangouts app, and we will get to you as quickly as we can.
All right. So I'll go back to talking about DreamObjects a bit more. So DreamObjects is an object storage system that's built on Ceph. And Ceph is open source, created right here at DreamHost. It's built for performance, reliability, and scale. And it does that by storing your data across multiple disks and multiple servers and multiple racks across a data center. So it's intelligently storing your data, and it stores 3 copies of it. And then now, because it does that, it's fault tolerant. And it's also very inexpensive way to store your data. It's only 2.5 cents per gigabyte per month for storage and 5 cents per gigabyte per month for download. That means you can store 100 gigabytes of data, and it's only $2.50 a month. And if you wanted to download all of it, it would only cost $5. So let's talk about using DreamObjects and using DreamSpeed CDN. The first thing you want to do is you want to upload your files to DreamObjects. There's lots of compatible apps that you can do that with. There's ExpanDrive, StrongSync, CyberDuck, CrossFTP, and numerous libraries for whatever your language of choice is. And a lot of that is thanks to the API compatibility that Ceph gives us, because it's compatible with both Amazon's S3 and OpenStack Swift. Once you've uploaded your files to DreamObjects, in the control panel, you see the Change Settings link here. That will bring up a dialog window that will show this. And this is all you have to do to enable DreamSpeed CDN, is just slide the CDN support button in the bottom left there to the on position.
How long will that change actually take to kick in and take effect? Is it immediate, or does it take a couple minutes or a day or so?
It is immediate. Let me turn on screen sharing. So as soon as you click that button, it enables the CDN link to start working for you. So the way that object storage works is, by default, your objects are accessed from a DreamObjects URL. And once you turn that on, those objects can be accessed from a DreamSpeed CDN URL. So it's a little different there, but once you turn it on, it's enabled immediately.
Right on. Cool.
Go back to sharing my screen, because there's some information in there about price. You can see there it says 12 cents a gigabyte for download to US and Europe, and 19 cents a gigabyte to Asia Pacific, Australia, New Zealand. So let's talk about pricing real quick. We show it right there in the control panel, so we'll talk about it a little more. as we mentioned, 12 cents a gigabyte per month, and that's anything that's requested from North America or Europe is charged at that rate. Anything that's charged from the Asia Pacific region, Australia, and New Zealand is charged at 19 cents per gigabyte. Now, what's unique for using DreamSpeed CDN through DreamHost instead of directly from Fastly is that you're not charged any per request API fees, and there's no monthly minimums. So you're not charged, say, a $50 minimum like you are with Fastly. And so just so you're aware, these charges are also in addition to your DreamObjects charges. So if you're storing 10 gigabytes of data, it's still 25 cents to store that data, and then you're also paying for download through the CDN. Any questions there so far?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. I'll go back up a second because I want to talk about aliases real quick. So one of the nice things that we do here is we automatically set up the DNS records for you if you choose to use your own domain. So instead of using a CDN URL that would be something like mybucket.objects.cdn.dream.io, you can use cdn.mydomain.com. And all you have to do is fill in a subdomain, choose your domain that we host from the drop-down list, and check the box to use a CDN. And that's all you have to do. We go ahead and set up all of the correct DNS records for you, and it's ready as soon as the DNS propagates. So let me talk about an example app overview. So you may wonder why you would want to use object storage anyways. It kind of sounds like a hassle. But if you were to say build a simple app, it could be a photo sharing site, maybe an image resizing service, a pastebin type service, whatever it might be. In this example, we've got a replicated database and a few application or web front-end servers. And so if you've got a site that you're trying to serve, how do you keep the content in sync between all of your front-end servers? So for example, maybe you want to update your logo, change a hero image, add a promo graphic, whatever it might be. Option one is kind of the hard way. It's the manual way. You try to manually update all the code on all the front-end servers very close to the same time. You're going to have to restart services. You'll lose sessions. It's kind of a pain, but you can do it. The second option is to mount an NFS share across all of the front-end servers and directly access static content from the NFS mount. So you would have the HTML served from the web servers. They would point to a local or to a remote file storage system just accessed over NFS. And then when you wanted to make a change, you would just update the NFS server. But then you're having to rely on the availability of that one machine. You may have hard drive issues, OS updates, maintenance. So there's kind of trouble there. So the third option is to use an object storage service like DreamObjects. That way the images are referenced in the HTML as a link, and they're served from the storage service or from the CDN, which is an even better way to do it. So you don't have to worry about maintaining another machine, any of the OS updates or anything like that. So it's just one less thing to worry about, which is really nice if you're deploying an application. But many people don't have an application. They might just have a WordPress site. We found out that 25% of the web is running WordPress. So to make it even easier to run your WordPress site using the DreamSpeed CDN, we've got a DreamSpeed CDN plugin. It was written by our very own Mika Epstein. She's a WordPress developer here at DreamHost. It's pretty easy to install and configure. She's got great directions on the site, on the plugin site. If you just go to wordpress.org/plugins/dreamspeed-cdn, you can install it from there. It automatically uploads your media to DreamObjects, and it rewrites all of your media URLs to use the CDN link instead of your server. That way it accelerates your content and all your media and helps reduce the load on your WordPress server. So that's about all I have for today. I went through that pretty quickly. I was expecting a few more questions. But if you're saving them to the end, now is the perfect time to ask those questions.
I have a question. What are some of the, and I don't know how closely you work with, our sales team or support teams. What are some of the more common issues that customers have tended to run into with DreamSpeed? Is it more they're not quite certain how to get it set up, or once it's in use, they're not sure how to if there's anything extra that they have to do, or I guess what has the feedback been like?
So some of the confusion I've seen is around permissions.
Mm-hmm.
You'll want to, if you have objects that are accessed via the CDN, you'll want to make sure they're marked as public in DreamObjects. That's one issue that comes up. That's not absolutely necessary. You can still serve private objects over the CDN, but most people are serving public content, and so marking those objects as public is the most common solution to that problem.
Gotcha.
I hear a lot of questions about the difference between using a Fastly DreamSpeed CDN and Cloudflare. And Cloudflare and Fastly are pretty similar in that they're both reverse proxies. It's kind of the newer style CDN service. I'd say Cloudflare is probably more focused on their security features, like helping with distributed DDoS attacks and things like that, and keeping your site online if your web server goes down. Fastly, on the other hand, is more optimized for performance and delivering video. Fastly is based on Varnish, and Cloudflare is built on Nginx. But other than that, they're just kind of targeting two separate audiences. It's another question I get pretty commonly.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Yeah, I think DreamSpeed CDN is great. People, they come for object storage and they may not even realize that we've got the CDN option, and I love that we have it there. And I think that it's one of its many strengths is that it's so easy to start using. It's literally, like you showed in your slides, you just click a single button and your data is instantly replicated across all these points of presence, and you can start serving content to users around the world much more quickly than you would otherwise. So I'm really excited about it. I hope lots of our DreamObjects users have taken advantage of it if they need that extra data distribution. But yeah, thank you, Justin. I don't think we have any more questions from the audience. Doesn't look like we do. But yeah, if anyone viewing this has any additional questions about DreamSpeed CDN or DreamObjects or any of what DreamHost offers with our cloud services, or even with traditional shared hosting or WordPress optimized hosting, please feel free to reach out to our sales teams, our support teams, just over at dreamhost.com. We're happy to get you squared away and make sure you have the service that you actually need for whatever it is you're doing online.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have as well.
Absolutely.
I'm in our forums all the time. Find me on Twitter, whatever it is.
You are at Justin_Lund on Twitter, right?
You got it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Justin. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in today, and we will see you at our next DreamUp.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.